Hey there, this is Dan Doobley, and you're listening to WrestleBeards. If you like leather masks, spandex pants, and underwear on the outside, anywhere near as much as I do, then you are really gonna love this show. WrestleBeards.
WrestleBeards, we got all your wrestling gear. WrestleBeards, woo! Hairy man with dirty beards. WrestleBeards, worldwide.
Hi everyone, this is Shrek for WrestleBeards Worldwide, and I'm here today to give you my Elimination Chamber 2021 review. It was a heck of a pay-per-view. I'm very excited to give you the results and all of the high and low spots that happened in today's show. And I'll also give you a rundown of the outcomes to the predictions video made by myself and Luke from last week. Now, Luke, of course, is not joining us today. He's still in Jakarta battling a lot of the outcomes of the recent flooding problems they've had there. We send our good vibes out to Luke and all of our friends and viewers in Jakarta and hope that everything gets back on track and underway shortly. Luke has stated that he's going to be back hopefully midweek, where Luke and myself will host our 11th podcast. And we've got a lot to say and a lot to catch up on. So wish you well, buddy, and we'll see you back soon. So I'll get into the review. Obviously, I'm not the biggest buff when it comes to all of the match workings and move sets and so forth. So I'm just going to give a very basic rundown. Tell me I'm wrong if I'm wrong. It's all good. But I didn't watch the pre-show. I'm not a big fan of watching the legends sit around a table talking about nonsense. But I was made aware that they had a fatal four-way match between Ricochet, Elias, John Morrison, and Mustafa Ali to determine who would take Keith Lee's spot in the triple threat match for the United States Championship. Keith Lee was obviously left out of that for unknown reasons. I hope it's nothing too serious or COVID related, but I guess we'll find out. It hasn't been announced the official reason why he was left out. But this was quite an interesting match to have on the pre-show, and it ended up with John Morrison taking the victory with Starship Pain, and he was to enter the main show triple threat United States Championship match. So that's exciting. Okay, the first match underway of the main card was the Elimination Chamber match, which was the #1 contendership for the Universal title that Roman Reigns holds. I'll just give a rundown of who was in the match, and they made their way out in this order. So we had Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Baron Corbin, and Jey Uso, who were all locked into the chamber cells. And then Cesaro and Daniel Bryan were to start this match off, which is pretty cool. They've been recent allies. So nice to see that they're going to try and go the distance. We'll see if they do. It was a very competitive start, a lot of trading of uppercuts and getting their stuff in, which was pretty awesome. These are two of my favorite wrestlers, or wrestlers, if you might say. So it was awesome to see. We had head scissors counter that ended up giving Bryan an injured knee, which will have a part to play in the later stages of the match. We're then joined in the ring after a few missed pin attempts by Baron Corbin. He's the first to be released from his pod. He wastes no time. He gets stuck into Cesaro. He throws him against the pod. And then he starts attacking Daniel Bryan's injured knee. It's becoming a common trend in this match. Everyone's going to take part in injuring DB's knee. He gives a bit of rough and tumble to both of the guys. Then Cesaro starts to make a comeback. There's a bit of an uppercut train. Cesaro runs across the ring, back and forth like a bit of a pendulum. It's pretty cool to see. Then Corbin has a bit more of a comeback. He starts running wild, and then he starts manipulating that knee even more, and it looks painful. Daniel Bryan's pretty good at selling, and it was quite believable. For a moment there, I actually thought maybe he's injured his knee. Ouch. The new pod opens up, and it's Sami Zayn, and he's still feeling victimized. He's got his film crew out there documenting all this for, I hope we see the documentary down the track. I hope there is a payoff for that. But initially, he won't leave the pod. He blocks Baron Corbin from entering. He's, chicken shitting his way out of getting into the match, playing it well. but he forgets there's another door, and who's to open it but Cesaro. Cesaro starts laying into him, giving him all of you know what, and then it continues. Cesaro follows Zayn at one point up the wall. They get on top of the pod, and then they climb across the wall. They're trading some blows at one another, and they're both sort of lingering on the wall like spider people. Then Cesaro actually holds the top of the chamber, which then he can release his feet, and he kicks Sami Zayn down into the ring, which was awesome to see. And then he shows off by doing a few chin-ups. So Cesaro, such a physical specimen of a species of a man, so it was really impressive stuff. Then there's a Cesaro swing that's, exchanged into a sharpshooter, and then Corbin taps. So Corbin is out of the match. Just as he is the first eliminated, the new person enters, and it's none other than Kevin Owens. Zayn initially tries to partner up with Kevin Owens because, they're old friends, and they're probably still friends in real life. KO sort of pretends like they might be allies, but then quickly just throws Zayn face first into one of the pods, which was good to see. And then he plays a bit of ping pong with Zayn, throwing him into several pods and walls. There's a few cannonballs from Kevin Owens. He gives one to, I think, each of the people in the match at this point, one in each corner, which was very cool. And then we see the next person enter, which is Jey Uso. How convenient that he is the last one to enter. Perhaps Paul Heyman had some sway in that decision. Don't know. Obviously, KO wants to target Uso from the offset because he's the one guy who has been meddling in his Universal title dreams, I guess you would want to say. So, it's insane. There's stunners galore, stunners to Zayn. Zayn gets eliminated quickly on. Then Uso, which was really painful to see, traps Kevin Owens' arm in the cage and closes like a door or a piece of the structure onto Kevin Owens' arm. And it looks really, really painful. No one wants to see that, but it was really well played up. And it looks like, Kevin Owens' arm is in a lot of pain. He then gets in, lets him go and starts, giving him all the big super kicks he can. Then Uso goes up for a frog splash, pins Owens, and Owens is out. Wow, didn't see that one coming so soon. Then Cesaro gets back in the mix. A lot of flying elbows, some near pins. Cesaro swing on Jey, and then he actually starts using Jey as a pendulum, swinging him from left to right into the walls of the Elimination Chamber. That was cool to see. But unfortunately, Cesaro is not to be in the match for much longer because Jey makes a comeback, a super kick, a frog splash, 1, 2, 3, and Cesaro is out. So another big name that we didn't want to see exit so soon, but he's out. So we're down to Uso and Bryan, the last two in the match. It's a bit of a back and forth. There's a frog splash from the pod, but Daniel Bryan gets his knees up, and then a running knee for the pin, 1, 2, 3, and Daniel Bryan is the winner. Wow, and that was my pick. I was going out on a long shot, I thought, picking Daniel Bryan. I actually thought Luke was correct in picking Cesaro, but you never know. So Daniel Bryan wins. Good to see. In fact, that's his third Elimination Chamber victory in his career, so we shouldn't be too shocked. And then Daniel Bryan, of course, he's got no time to wait because Roman Reigns' music hits and he's on his way down to the ring for their match for the Universal title. Wow. So before that match gets underway, that's 2 points for myself because I picked that Daniel Bryan would not only win, but I said by pinfall, which is how it was won. And unfortunately, Luke, no points for you. So the next match is straight underway. Roman Reigns, looks like he's just going to kill Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan's battling that knee injury from just the match that's just happened. Reigns goes for a spear attempt, but then, wow! Daniel Bryan counteracts it into the yes lock. And the commentators are hamming it. They're like, oh, the match is over. Daniel Bryan's got this one. And, you know, I actually thought it was over. Like, how can you get out of that yes lock? So many wrestlers have tried and failed. But somehow the strength of Roman Reigns overcomes. And then the beatdown ensues. And man, it was a beatdown. Daniel Bryan did not look good. And I don't know. Why do they just want to put a wrestler in this position? I guess it's just to build up Roman Reigns as that mega heel. And who better to give the beatdown to than one of the most over faces in the company in Daniel Bryan. He ends up pummeling him so bad that he puts a sleeper move on and Daniel Bryan does not wake up. The match is called by the referee and Roman Reigns retains the Universal title. So obviously a submission victory, a bit of a rare one for Roman Reigns, but a victory nonetheless. So both Luke and myself get a point each and we continue on. It's not over with because as Roman Reigns is you know, celebrating, I guess, in the moment, holding his title up, he turns around to a spear from Edge. Wow. Edge is in the building and obviously he starts pointing to the WrestleMania sign with the dead prone body of Roman Reigns lying at his feet. And you see Paul Heyman going nuts in the background. So I guess that's official. Edge is going to choose Roman Reigns for his match at WrestleMania. The right to have a match because he won the Royal Rumble. So very cool. I think it's going to be a heck of a match. Edge versus Reigns. Who doesn't want to see that? I do. Battle of the Spear. Okay, next up is the match that was changed about a bit. It was for the US title. We have the champion Bobby Lashley defending against his longtime foe of recent months, Riddle, formerly Matt. And the newest addition to this match was John Morrison, who, as I stated earlier, replaced our man Keith Lee in the match for unknown reasons. It was a bit of a mauling at the beginning. Lashley was mauling and stomping a mud hole into Riddle. Then it became a bit of 2-on-1 where Riddle and Morrison decided to sort of become unlikely allies and knew that was a good strategy in order to overcome Lashley. Short-lived though, there's a spear to Morrison. Then Riddle gets in a floating bro at one point to Lashley on the outside, which gives Riddle and Morrison a bit of time one-on-one against each other. Yeah, Matt Riddle looks pretty strong, dare I say it. Not the biggest Riddle fan, but you know, then Lashley comes back in, another floating bro on Lashley, a Starship Pain from Morrison. Then MVP gets involved, and he's obviously on crutches, dealing with some injury that he's had recently. His crutch enters the match, and he's using it to beat down Lashley with. Then he gives the bro Derek to John Morrison while Lashley's down. And we have a new champion, a new United States champion in Riddle. Now, yeah, I'm pretty upset about this. Obviously, Luke and myself, we didn't pick this. We thought that Lashley was going the distance till WrestleMania. But it turns out there might be bigger things in play for Lashley. I'll get to that very shortly. So we have a new champion. Okay, the next matchup is another title match. It's for the women's tag team titles with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defending their relatively newly won titles against the unlikely duo of the boss Sasha Banks and the EST of WWE, Bianca Belair. This match, it wasn't so exciting. I think it was always going to be the toilet break, I guess, dare I say it. Nia Jax, she's just not entertaining for me. The most entertaining thing she's done lately is the whole reference, which, I mean, if that's your high spot, that's a bit of a shame. But anyway, she starts off the match with Bianca Belair. There's a bit of finger manipulation. And then shortly into the match, Shayna and the boss are inserted. There's some good teamwork between Belair and Banks. You're sort of waiting for some descent in the ranks, but it doesn't come. They assist one another. There's a frog splash attempt from Banks that has no outcome. Nia looks pretty strong actually. Then Reginald inserts himself into the match. He brings out a bottle of champagne and wants to gift it to Banks, obviously to use as a weapon. The ref sees it and obviously swipes that off her and threatens to call the match off. But then it's enough distraction for a Samoan drop from Nia and the 1, 2, 3 and the champs retain. Yeah, I didn't pick that to happen. So that's 2 points to Luke for picking the right outcome and 0 points for me. Okay, then there's a little bit of a backstage moment where you see MVP having a little chat backstage with The Miz, which, what are they up to? Which leads into our final match, or is it our final match? I keep alluding to things, but I'm sure you already know, which is for the WWE title in the Elimination Chamber. We have the entrances for Drew McIntyre, AJ Styles, Kofi Kingston, and Sheamus, who are all locked into the pods. Sheamus obviously winning the right to come out last from his gauntlet match that he won on Raw last week. And then we have Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton to start proceedings off. Obviously old foes, and it's always nice to see aging legends of the Attitude Era still giving it a go, I guess. It was a bit boring back and forth at the beginning. It's nothing we haven't seen before. We've seen Jeff Orton a million times, so I don't want to see it anymore. It ends with Jeff getting beaten and cast to the outside, and then Drew McIntyre enters. So the champ is one of the first out into the match. Obviously quite risky when you are the defending champion and you can lose at any point. You'd probably rather be in the later stages. He goes straight after Orton, much of what you'd expect. Another feud that was overkilled, and we see more of that. That continues on. Jeff Hardy is kind of out of the picture. He must have been quite badly hurt because he's sort of hanging on fridges for quite some time. Kofi Kingston is the next to enter. He goes straight after Orton as well. See the trend here. He also has beef with Orton from past feuds. It's quite competitive, a bit of a beat down, but then a quick roll up from Kofi and Orton's eliminated. He's the first to leave. No appearance from The Fiend, no appearance from Alexa Bliss. Quite strange considering every waking moment of Raw always has something to do with Alexa Bliss and Orton at this current time. But no, nothing. So Orton's pissed off, he starts to leave. And as he does, we have AJ Styles. He's in his pod and he just wants to get out. He wants to get out of that. So if I'm not saying it right, please forgive me. Amos, the big fella who follows him around, he rips the Perspex glass out of the cell, out of the rear of the cell, and AJ escapes and he inserts him prematurely into the match, which is quite cool. He quickly tries pins on both Jeff Hardy and Kofi Kingston to no avail. And then Adam Pearce comes out and he ejects Amos from ringside. So AJ, you've got to go it alone. Let's see how that goes for you. The next to enter, and the last for that matter, is Sheamus. And we're waiting for that big moment, Sheamus versus Drew. They've been staring each other down, staring holes into each other. Of course, it starts off with the big punch trade-off, which is awesome. Both these guys are massive brutes, and I'm enjoying it. I feel like this feud actually has something connected to it, and it's something fresh. So they're trading off. Then Kofi climbs and jumps down on not only those two, but all the other men sort of collectively in that area. A brogue kick from Sheamus. 1, 2, 3, Kingston's eliminated. So it seems when anyone gets their big move in, they're eliminated shortly after. So that happened for Kingston. And then very soon after, there's a swanton bomb from Jeff Hardy, also from the top of a cell, which is followed up from a claymore by Drew. 1, 2, 3, Hardy's eliminated. So we're down to the final three. There's a bit of big beefy boy matches matchups happening between Drew and Sheamus, with sort of AJ keeping well out of it. He does dive off of the top rope at one point, and he eats a brogue kick, but then there's a phenomenal forearm counter, and Sheamus is eliminated. So Sheamus is out, and we're down to the final two, which are AJ Styles and the champ Drew McIntyre. Everyone's been sort of talking about, we want to see this matchup again. This is quite an exciting one, so here we have it. It's sort of a mini match, as these things always happen to do when they come down to the final two. AJ dives off the top rope. He gets hit by a claymore mid-air, 1, 2, 3, and McIntyre retains the title. Hell of a match. I mean, McIntyre looks strong. Everyone in this match actually, got some good stuff in. You had the moments where you thought, wow, maybe Kofi Kingston might do this again. The awesome moment when Amos ripped off the door was pretty cool, and with AJ inserting himself prematurely. The shocking early exit of Orton. I think it was a bit of a letdown. They didn't have some kind of Fiend involvement, but who knows? We have Drew, celebrating his victory. He's obviously knackered. He's stuffed. He has just been through a war. But then who should hit the ring but none other than Lashley. And Lashley spears Drew to the ground. And it was like, what is going on? So initially you're like, oh yeah, well, he's probably peed off. He's just lost his US title and he's taking out some anger and obviously inserting himself into a new feud. And I was like, that area of the card's kind of overcrowded at the moment. And then I remembered, oh yeah, MVP, Lashley's right-hand man, was having a chat backstage with The Miz prior to this match. And then what do you know, just as I connected the dots in my head, we have I Came to Play. Miz's music hits. He bolts down with the referee. He's got the Money in the Bank briefcase and he cashes it in, which was pretty cool. I didn't see this coming. Both Luke and myself, by the way, 2 points each for picking that Drew is the champion coming out of the main match. But we didn't see The Miz cashing in. And initially he gets in the skull-crushing finale, but Drew kicks out. I'm like, oh, well, this is going to happen. So Miz is going to waste it. But no, a second skull-crushing finale. 1, 2, 3, and we have a new WWE champion. Wow. The Miz takes the top belt in the company, most prestigious title, for the second time in his career, almost 10 years to the day he last held the title, which is pretty insane when you think about it. I do like The Miz, but there's been times where he's been built up to be a credible, top guy. I don't think this is one of them. I don't think he's been sort of built up in the way that he should have been. He's a bit comedic. He's been too involved in Bad Bunny's affairs and so forth. I don't know. I just don't completely buy it. I hope they don't ruin this. I can see this being a very transitional champion moment because I don't see The Miz going into WrestleMania as the champion. Perhaps they want to give Drew his big moment in WrestleMania, so he's going to win the title back in front of fans. I could see that happening. I just don't know. Maybe Sheamus quickly picks the title up off of The Miz soon after. And then we've got to ask, what's Lashley and MVP's involvement going forward? Perhaps there was a promise from MVP that if Lashley helps, he gets a title shot. Who knows? So it's all interesting. It leaves lots of questions and lots of answers to be given, obviously, on Raw and SmackDown this week. So looking forward to both of those shows. So overall, a very, very cool pay-per-view. Because we both didn't pick the cash in, we both lose our briefcase opportunities going forward and both get 0 points. But wait, do you remember the little stipulation about 24/7 champion Bad Bunny? So we both said our picks on if that said champion will leave the show as the champion. Now I decided I would retain with Bad Bunny. I thought that he's probably not even going to show up. Turns out he was at the show, but he had an altercation with future WWE champion The Miz, but he doesn't even have a fight on the card, so he does leave champion. But unfortunately, Luke, he picked that R-Truth would regain the title, which in some ways I could see why you would think that. So unluckily for Luke, he gets 0 points. I pick up 1 point, and with that, I am your defending WrestleBeards predictions champion, and I ain't losing it anytime soon. So it's been a heck of a pay-per-view. It's been a great opportunity to share what I thought of the card. From top to bottom, I thought it was a pretty impressive show. Maybe the women's title match was a bit of a hit or miss, but overall, the Elimination Chambers were amazing. I'm looking forward to where this goes on the road to WrestleMania. We've obviously got Payback coming up soon, so things could change there. So stay tuned. With that, I look forward to delivering the podcast later in the week with Luke. I've been Shrek for WrestleBeards Worldwide, and we'll see you soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.